This should be sour green apple. For those who didn't see the show last week, I thought it was, but it was blue. It was blue raspberry. Yeah, it's apple. Not bad. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. This is episode 675, The Old College Try. It is August 22nd, 2026, 11:20 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, autumn, fall, the greatest season of all time ever, the GOAT season of all time, greatest of all time, you know what I mean, is only 1 month away. 1 freaking month. Sour apple to you, man. Apple season, pumpkin season. Last week I talked about the significance of 8/24. 8/24 is coming on Monday. So all fall is going to go crazy on 8/24. Tuesday, 8/25 is my son's birthday. He'll be 17. So congratulations to him. 8/24 is also the day that my daughter starts college up again. We dropped her off at school on Friday. So she's settled in nicely, and she starts classes on Monday. We'll see her again on Tuesday because she's going to come up for my son's birthday, her brother's birthday. My father-in-law is visiting tomorrow, and he and my wife, his daughter, are going to go shooting. Then we're going to have lunch with them. Get my son new shoes. We are deciding, the three of us, that we're going to do all we can this upcoming season to clean up this house because of the absolute freaking disaster. So that's kind of good. So we got a lot of stuff going on. Apparently we've got a rainstorm. It's getting ready to rage in here soon. Let's see how close we are to it. Rain forecast expected in 12 minutes. So yeah, let me show you. This is what we're looking at here. Hold on, let's see if we can get a good view of it. There you go, a little bit of it. So I'm sure during the show we will hear stuff like that. So what do we got going on this week? Well, it is fall. Actually, not fall. It is getting close to fall. Summer is ticking away very quickly. We have some preseason football. We've got Halloween stuff, like my new haircut. Some Christmas stuff, I think, is in here as well. Not a lot of stuff, actually, this week. So this will probably be a quick one because for whatever reason, just wasn't a lot going on here. So some interesting things rolling through here in a little bit. So right off the bat, talked about my daughter going back to school, my haircut. We got all that done. I was going to try to go see End of Oak Street this weekend. Not going to happen. But I think next Sunday will probably be the better option because my wife and son will be going to do their annual planning for Scouts. And they'll be gone from 1 to 4:30 on Sunday, the 30th of August. So I'll probably be watching it then. Hopefully it will still be in theater somewhere at a reasonable time on a Sunday. It should be. So we'll see what happens with that. Pierce Brosnan, Don Lee, Joe Toslam join Extraction 3, as does Chris Lewis Penny and Sierra and Aguadara as well. So that's coming together nicely. Pumpkin Spice Twinkies, I think they've come out before, but they are due to be coming out here again soon in a little bit. October 21st sees the arrival of The Terminal List Season 2, the Chris Pratt show based on, I think, a series of books on Amazon. We also get our first trailer for it and our first look at it. October 15th brings The Diplomat with Kerry Russell back into rotation. Believe it or not, this is the first of 2 times that 10 Things I Hate About You is going to make an appearance on this show. 10 Things I Hate About You comes to Broadway in 2027 with Lena Dunham and Carly Rae Jepsen as your writers. So that's actually pretty decent team, a comedy writer and a poppy girly musicians. That should be pretty decent. Can't wait to hear some of the songs from that. Frances Fisher, Ava Philippe, Jessica Belkin, Katie Casey are in The Call. It's about addiction. Diane Kruger and Danny Bean are set to play Nazi hunters on the trail of Tim Roth's Klaus Barba in Project K for Netflix. It's based on a true story. Welcome to Derry is officially announced a season 2. Everyone thought it was going to be a given that it was going to happen, but there was no official announcement until this week. So officially they will be getting a second season. Jerry Bruckheimer reveals discussions with Johnny Depp are underway for Pirates of the Caribbean 6. However, what we also gleaned from the interview also is that Johnny Depp would be more of a minor character and that was going to focus on Margot Robbie's new character, which was kind of something that they were thinking about years ago, about having a female pirate and having Margot Robbie be the lead in that. I guess it's becoming a little closer to fruition now, too. Now, I don't think you necessarily need to have Johnny Depp be like a glorified cameo. I think you can have him in there. As long as he's willing to do it, you can put your Captain Jack in there for a little bit more than that. But make sure, that we know it's Margot Robbie's movie and not his. And female pirates are cool anyway. The Abbey Road scene for the Beatles 4 films was filmed this week. Salted caramel cream Hershey's and affogato Hershey's are coming. I don't know what affogato is, but I can tell you what salted caramel cream is. John Carpenter is working on a sequel to The Thing, which is an interesting thing to discover. Deaths this week. We had a couple of big ones. First up was Hayden Panettiere, Save the Cheerleader from Heroes. Also was in Scream 4 and 6 and did lots of cartoon voices and was in Ice Princess with Michelle Trachtenberg. She's done a whole bunch of other stuff as well. The means of death has right now been called an overdose of drugs, but things are getting a little bit more hinky now because her boyfriend that she had a restraining order on, his restraining order was up the day before she died, and he was in her presence along with his brother, and he claimed she had an overdose, and he had the Narcan to try to keep her better, and it was emptied. But people are not believing that, so that's an ongoing case. See what's going on with that. So it seems a little hinky, some stuff going on there, so we'll see what happens. Tommy John, who, let's face facts, I thought he was dead. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but I thought he was already dead. Tommy John, who the famous Tommy John surgery is named after, has passed away also. This is more of local news, but it's still kind of sad. O.J. Brigance, former Baltimore Raven player, played on the 2000 Super Bowl team before he was diagnosed with MLS. And then he was unable to talk and had to be confined to a wheelchair. But he had figured out some sort of technology where he can use his computer and talk just by doing facial features. I'm not sure how that works, but it worked out fine because O.J. Brigance had a second career with the Ravens, working in their offices since he left playing. He's been a part of the Ravens team to this day till he passed away. They will be wearing O.J. Brigance stickers on their helmets this year as a tribute to him. He was a good dude. Even without the MLS, he was still a decent, good dude. So it wasn't like the MLS turned him into this good dude. He was a good dude to begin with, and he was able to continue to do his good stuff with his MLS as well. Derry Bronson, EMF, unbelievable, whoa, founding member, passed away this week. Screaming Mad George, a special effects artist, passed away this week as well. Actually, he passed away, I think, back in like February or March. They did not reveal it until this week. So Carlos Del Campo, Spanish voice of Randy Marsh on South Park, passed away as well. Anniversaries, The Usual Suspects came out 31 years ago this week. Alien Romulus came out 2 years ago this week. Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood came out 30 years ago this week. Paranorman came out 14 years ago this week. Young Guns came out 38 years ago this week. Monty Python and the Life of Brian came out. There we go. Sorry. Had the freezing thing again. So let's go back. Anniversaries. Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood 30 years ago. Alien Romulus 2 years ago. The Usual Suspects 31 years ago. Paranorman 14 years ago. Young Guns 38 years ago. Monty Python and the Life of Brian 47 years ago. My Blue Heaven 36 years ago. Superbad 19 years ago. And Mortal Kombat, the original 1995 one 31 years ago this week. So a lot of stuff came out this week as well. Interesting screen rant or screen theory. My Blue Heaven was written by Nora Ephron, who was married, I think, or is still married to the guy who wrote Goodfellas. They believe, since they both came out the same year, they believe that My Blue Heaven is actually a sequel to Goodfellas, following Ray Liotta's character as he goes into hiding, because that's the premise of My Blue Heaven. It all kind of lines up. It's kind of a neat little theory, a screen theory out there. Squishmallows to get an Amazon movie. Not surprising. Scott Foley to return to Scrubs, and John Higgins has joined the cast of Scrubs as well. Villain Land is coming to the Magic Kingdom. So a land in Disney that focuses on the villains of Disney movies. Catriona Balfe, who I talked about last week, she's going to be doing a show on Apple TV, is set to play Rapunzel's mom in the live-action Tangled, so she's having quite a time now, or will next year when all this stuff comes out. A new Indiana Jones and the Myth of the Jade Serpent ride is coming to Walt Disney World as well, so lots of new stuff coming to Walt Disney World. They got to get people to come back because everything's down because the world's a piece of shit right now. Hurricane Lala, which is a terrible name, but whatever, formed in the Pacific. They're usually called typhoons, but because it was on the other side of the Pacific, they called it a hurricane. It enveloped all of Hawaii, and it got so crazy that on the top of one of the mountains, Mauna Kea, it caused blizzard conditions, meaning it was snowing with 140-mile-per-hour winds, massive flooding. It is under a major disaster right now, but of course, our government's going to do shit about it because our government doesn't give a shit about anybody in the United States except for rich people. This is kind of neat, just in time for Halloween. HGTV is set to be renovating a haunted house in an 8-episode show called A Very Haunted Renovation. Good idea for a series around Halloween, and something that surprisingly no one has ever done before. So that's kind of a neat idea that HGTV, me and my wife used to watch HGTV religiously before we had kids. So that's absolutely crazy, and that's really a neat idea. So maybe might have to jump back to that as well. Sticking on the same length, I've been watching a bunch of reels lately called Noah versus the Paranormal. Not my Noah. And this is actually really funny. So you have your typical ghost hunter shows where they go in and they try to get proof by, talking to the spirits and recording voices and trying to get infrared pictures. And the like. This dude decides, hell with all that. I don't care. I just want to have some fun. So he brings in a giant speaker and he has his cell phone set to Spotify or whatever. And he just starts playing just any type of music, R&B, heavy metal, just any type of music to just get a reaction from the spirits. So it's like, hey, do you like the Spice Girls? And then he turns on the Spice Girls song. Oh, you want to be. And the guy's crazy, start dancing around like that. And he gets a lot of reactions to it. And also, he also knows that he's also kind of proved that a lot of these hauntings might actually be homeless people who are hiding in these places because they need a place to stay. Because there have been a number of times where he's been in these places and he set this music going, and it freaked out the guy who was living there. And you can see him run across the screen, freaking the guy out. But it's really kind of it's called Noah versus the Paranormal. It's actually really really funny, and not very long. It's just him just playing any type of music as loud as he can in a haunted house, haunted space, just to get a reaction from the spirits. My favorite, the first one I ever saw was, I forget what the song was, but he's playing it like in an old insane asylum or something like this. And he's looking down this dark hallway, and there's all these doors and stuff like that. And so he's playing the music, he's dancing along, and then this head and shoulders, and you can see the hand pops out of one of the doors. It could be, I think it was a spirit, if you want to believe that. Like, what the fuck is this? And then it just disappears again, and it freaks the guy out when he sees it. Starts up. The guy's like, "What are you doing?" And then look at the goes like saying, "What the fuck are you doing? Playing that music, or what is that shit?" It's up there with people who've played music in the woods for skinwalkers and Bigfoot and stuff like that. It's a funny idea. I love Florence Pugh. I've been a Florence Pugh lover for a long time. I think the first time I ever noticed her was in 2020, right around the time when she had just was starting up, and they did a Father of the Bride 3 mini episode that was only available online due to COVID. So you had to go to this one spot online, and they brought the entire cast back from the Father of the Bride movies. But since the last one had been almost like 30 years earlier, they had to age up the young babies that were born in 94. And so they made Florence Pugh be Steve Martin and Diane Keaton's daughter. And that's fucking awesome. And then it was all about Kieran Culkin, who is now huge also, him getting married to a African-American woman, and he wanted to propose. That's why he had all of his family getting onto this Zoom call, because he wanted to show them the proposal. And the woman he was seeing, who was and was dating and wanted to propose to, her father is Robert De Niro. And I was just like, oh my God, that would have been the best freaking actual third Father of the Bride, to have Florence Pugh, Robert De Niro, Kieran Culkin as he is now. I think the guy who's played the son of Kimberly Paisley Williams Paisley, and the guy who played her husband, I forget his name, was a musician. I think it would have been freaking hilarious to see a Father of the Bride 3 movie with that cast. Unfortunately, Diane passed away this year, so we won't be able to see it. But that was my first experience with Florence. And then she was cast in Black Widow, which was in 2021 when I saw that. And I liked her in that also. And then she popped up in We Live in Time, which is one of my favorite movies of all time now. And she also was in Hawkeye as Yelena also, who she was fabulous in that as well. And just seeing her in all these different things as well, it just made me, really fall in love with her, in a celebrity crush sort of way. So it's good to see her doing this kind of stuff and getting done. So her next big thing is she had a great cameo in Spider-Man Brand New Day. She's set to reprise her role, obviously, Avengers Doomsday. She's also facing off against herself, because she's also in Dune 3, and that's coming out the same day as Avengers Doomsday. So she's got those two movies coming out in December. And they just revealed that, and we knew she was doing this also, she was doing an adaptation of East of Eden for Netflix, and we finally have a date for that, set to come out on October 1st. So I will definitely be in line to see that. Not in line because it's on Netflix, but it'll be great to see her in a different type of role. And I'll wait to see what she's got planned in the future. She's got a movie with Andy Samberg coming up, which he's filming presently. So, in the series of books I've been reading about the Monster Hunter, who is a woman, cryptozoologist, rich bookstore owner, I've read the third book and need to order the fourth one. Fifth one comes out in January. I keep picturing Florence Pugh in the role. Like if I wanted to direct the movie adaptation of it, I would put Florence Pugh in the main role because I think she would fit it perfectly. I think she'd be great. But we'll see. East of Eden, though, it comes out October 1st, and that's awesome. The Seattle Mariners have a hot Jimothy summer drink available. It's Hennessy, pineapple juice, ginger beer served in a trash bin cup with a fake raccoon tail. This Jimothy stuff's going crazy. Jimothy's also appeared in the new season of Fortnite, which I'll talk about in just a mo. Sunny D is getting into the unknown flavor gig. They have a new drink out called Spooky D, just in time for Halloween. That is, I think, only available right now at Walmart. Nobody knows what the flavor is yet, or I haven't seen anything online about people who drank it to see what it is yet. The first ever Banana Bowl is set to be played on October 10th at Nationals Park in D.C. Banana Ball is getting a huge resurgence, and now they're going to have this big competition on October 10th at National Stadium, or Nationals Park in D.C. Olivia Colman is set to join the cast of Only Murders in the Building's new season. Deaths this week. Philida Law, who was an actress and Emma Thompson's mother, passed away this week as well. Matilda Favier, a Dior PR. I'm sorry, I got it. Nicholas Altmeyer, who is an indie film producer, died in a car accident with Matilda Favier, a Christian Dior PR exec, not knowing if they were dating, married, or friends, or just transporting, just in a meeting or something like that, but they passed away together in a car accident. Frank Beard, a ZZ Top drummer, died at the age of 77, which is ironic that the dudes who have long beards had a band member named Beard. Mike Barbary, a footballer for Wolverhampton Wanderers, so actual football, not American football, passed away. Anniversaries. Uncle Buck came out 37 years ago this week. Armed and Dangerous, another John Candy movie, came out 40 years ago this week. Elvis passed away 49 years ago this week. Apocalypse Now debuted 47 years ago this week. Manhunter, the original appearance of Hannibal Lecter, arrived 40 years ago this week. Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai arrived 44 years ago this week. Event Horizon debuted 29 years ago this week. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre debuted 53 years ago this week. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, debuted 38 years ago this week. Snakes on a Plane came out 20 years ago this week. And there's that. Snakes on a Plane, man. Snakes on a Plane. Febreze, the spray thing, is getting into the collaboration, this time with Dunkin'. So Dunkin' and Febreze have created new Dunkin' scents, vanilla latte, cinnamon roll, and strawberry filled donut. So you'll be able to have your house smelling like all that. Bruce Campbell has come out to say that he will be retiring as Ash from the Evil Dead saga. He will no longer play him in any capacity whatsoever. There's just before that, come back to later. The Guild has ended their Kickstarter and had become the world record for the highest amount of money raked in for a Kickstarter, with $5.7+ million. So their goal was $4 million. They shot right past it. So needless to say, Felicia Day is extraordinarily happy. So we'll be seeing more about that probably within the next year or so. So hopefully, I was going to give money to it, but it just didn't get around to it. New Wildwood trailer, the new animated film, came out, and we learned that it's going to be 2 hours and 25 minutes long, which is the longest stop motion movie ever made. Kevin Bacon and Keira Sedgwick's family movie is going to drop in 2027, April 23rd, 2027 to be exact. That is such a great idea for a movie. It's directed by Kevin Bacon, and it stars Kevin, his wife, Keira Sedgwick, and their children, their actual biological children, who are all going to be in this movie together. And there's going to be some other people in there as well. But the premise is that they are a family of filmmakers, and they film these cheap, schlocky B-movie horror films. They find this place, decide to film their next film there, and turns out that people start dying, and who live in the area start dying from a real killer, and they have to figure out who it is before they die. Very interesting. We'll see what happens next year when that comes out, but it's really cool they got into that. Without Blood trailer, Angelina Jolie directs Salma Hayek in a new film. I don't think Angelina's in it at all. Jeff Hiller becomes a regular on Widow's Bay season 2. Still got to get Apple TV. I'll probably we'll get that eventually, and then we'll do that. I'll watch that as well. Perish is Nicolas Cage's new film that he's going to be working on here in a second, where he plays one of the last known survivors of a nuclear apocalypse, where he has to take on a horde of cannibals. Tom Hanks is set to star in Theo of Golden, an adaptation of a book that just came out. New Whale Fall trailer looks interesting still. McDonald's is going to be releasing Godzilla and Friends plushies, including a Hello Kitty Godzilla plushie. New FX series Legends cast Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, and they've also said, you know what we should do? Hell, let's cast the rest of the Sons of Anarchy people. So Katie Seagal, Ron Perlman, and a bunch of other people who were in Sons of Anarchy will be in this FX series Legends, which has nothing to do with Sons of Anarchy. It's going to be a completely new series. So basically, it's like them doing an American Horror Story, except that it's a different storyline with the same actors that were in Sons of Anarchy. Every Which Way But Loose, which is a movie I watched with my dad, Clint Eastwood and an orangutan, will be getting Funko Pops, which I think is really cool. And they showed the individual Funko Pops, including one for Clyde the monkey. And then they revealed one of their big ones, which is going to be Clyde and Fido Dedo, which is the character played by Clint Eastwood, another weird-ass name, in a car together. It's the whole Right Turn Clyde when he punches out Nazi motorcycle. It's not really Nazis because they're just motorcycle gang people. It's a goofy early 1980s movie, but it has a part of my heart because my dad and I watched it. Now, the funny thing is, it's one of two movies. There's actually Any Which Way You Can and Every Which Way But Loose. And I think Any Which Way You Can is the first one, and Every Which Way But Loose is the sequel. And it follows Fido Dedo, played by Clint Eastwood, who is a bare-knuckle street brawler. I guess that's how he makes money, because he sets up bare-knuckle fights with people, and that gets bet on, and they get a cut of the money. And I think that's how it works. It's like a boxing match, but it's outdoors, and it's just bare-knuckle, and it's in location. So, and then there's Sandra Locke, who was married to Clint Eastwood for the longest time, plays love interest. He has an elderly, sassy grandmother who's elderly and sassy, and I think a brother-in-law or a cousin or something like that who is a mechanic, and they live in California. And he has a pet orangutan called Clyde. And I loved Every Which Way You Can or Every Which Way But Loose, which is really funny too. And it's a funny movie. And it's also an action comedy. It's something you don't get to see Clint Eastwood in all that much, younger Clint Eastwood. But the fact that they're making Funko Pops of it is really cool, and I might have to keep an eye out for it because I know my dad might like one, or at least I might get some for myself. September 8th sees a Mr. T documentary appearing on Netflix. This just came sort of out of nowhere. October 16th is the movie on Netflix called Sacrifice that has Chris Evans, Anya Taylor-Joy, Vincent Cassell, Salma Hayek, and John Malkovich in it, but it's not coming in movie theaters, I don't think, because I haven't heard much about it. I think it's something along the lines about a famous star who starts getting stalked by someone or something like that. That's what I heard, but it looks really wild. but I've heard absolutely nothing about this till I saw this ad. I had this article about it this week. Christian metal band Demon Hunter is suing the K-pop Demon Hunters over the name, which is stupid, but okay. Gentle Monster trailer, a Netflix movie coming out on Netflix on November 18th and supposedly coming out in movie theaters on October 30th, this time for Halloween. I don't know much about it, but there we go. Dead Poet Society and Mrs. Doubtfire will be coming to 4K on September 27th. A man dressed as Darth Vader went to a San Diego, like a town hall or something like that, and defended fleet cameras, saying that that is what the emperor wants, which, if you don't know your irony or whatever, is a fucking hilarious thing. And I don't know if anybody actually got what he was doing. This is pretty cool. Perseverance rover on Mars photographs a solar eclipse from Mars, not the Earth one, because they wouldn't be able to see that. It wouldn't, or the Earth's moon one, that you wouldn't be able to see it. Instead, one of its moons was eclipsing the sun, but since it's not the same size as it is and it's off kilter, it just appears as a little spot on the sun. It's a really neat picture, and there's no reason to believe that it's not true or not. The Women's Professional Baseball League continues going strong. My coworkers' team is hanging in there at the top. They won today after having a 2-game losing streak, but earlier this week, my coworker, she hit her first home run in the WBPL, and they got a highlight of it. So she looks so happy when she's rounding the bases. So I'm very proud of her. So that's very cool. She went 2 for 4 today, so she's doing pretty decent. She was 1 for 4 yesterday, but she was 2 for 4 today. All right, time to talk about the new season of Fortnite. The new season of Fortnite is called Override, and it is a video game themed season. There is a POI that is basically a Sonic sort of area, and there's islands across the island itself that are in the shape of Pac-Man and the Ghosts. There are overrides where you can force special loot and stuff like that to pop into chests for you if you pay a certain amount like that. There's new sprites that give you new powers and stuff like that, a lot of them based on video game characters. The Battle Pass has Sonic and Tails, and also Temu, Legend of Zelda, and Street Fighter as well. So it's kind of funny to see that. And then a sort of mercenary sort of character, I guess, like as a Call of Duty type of looking character. So again, a team move, stuff like that. They gotta do stuff like that. They have hacks where you type in certain hacks and you get special things that pop up for you in the game, including sprites and dust and stuff you can use for your locker. They have a override, which is a giant cartridge comes out of the sky and plugs into one of the multitude of these override places. And if you get there in time and you can start the override, it'll set a precedent for the entire island. Increased stamina, faster shooting are the two that I've done so far. More to come. When I was watching the videos of the playthroughs, it looked really complicated. Also, if you want to get sprite chests, you have to type in cheat codes like the up, up, down, down, right, left, right sort of thing. So kind of interesting to see that. So I thought it was overly complicated, but I jumped into a game yesterday for the first time, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's still pretty awkward. I'm still trying to figure out some stuff now, how to do things. They have a 1-up coin where if you get killed, you respawn, which is really cool. They had something like that in the previous season where you had a respawn thing, but when you were trying to respawn, they could just shoot and kill you. They decided to change that up so that if you get the 1-up and you use it, you won't get killed. You'll respawn somewhere and you can get all your loot also that you accumulated. It will not split. So that's pretty cool. So we'll see what happens. I've already got my first Victory Royale, my second game that I played. in that match. So that was pretty good. And I got another one today. So I've got 2 on the 2 days that I played. So being consistent, at least, I tend to usually get at least 1 win a day whenever I play. So we'll see if that continues. The loot, not the loot, the weapons are light because of all the hacks and stuff like that. They have the old school, but the thing that I like about those, they're focusing more on assault rifles because they have assault rifles. They have a special assault rifle. They have an 8-bit shotgun, which I like a lot. They have a pump shotgun. They have a drum gun, and that's really, and then they have a pistol, and that's really, and I like all those kind of guns except for the pump shotgun. But I like the 8-bit shotgun, and that's like all the weapons they have right now. I'm sure the pool will expand eventually, but that's all the ones we have right now, all you'll get from chests and stuff like that. Now, as I said, you do have hacks where you can get other weapons put in there just to cost you some of the sprite dust. So I actually put in dually pistols and splash stuff and the minigun. So I put those. So whenever I go to a chest now, if it doesn't always override, but every once in a while, I get one of the special guns that I paid to come into the game for myself. So pretty decent. So there's also a gun that spawns on the island that is a 1-shot. It kills you. You get it. You shoot one person and you take them out. I got one guy with that today. So I was hesitant at first, but again, it seems pretty decent. So I'll stick with it for a while. And also the fact that it's going to overlap with Fort Nightmares. The rumor out now is that Fort Nightmares is going to be starting on October 1st. That would be awesome, but also that's way earlier than it usually is. It usually doesn't come into like the last 2 weeks of October to cover the whole sort of Halloween thing. But if they end up doing it October 1st, yeah, I'm all for that, man. I will definitely lap that up because I love Fort Nightmares. And rumor is that the Five Nights at Freddy's going to pop up because if you are searching the island now, you see them building a replica of the Five Nights at Freddy's restaurant on the island. So pretty interesting. So we'll see what happens. Deaths, John Irvin, director of Next of Kin, Hamburger Hill, Ghost Story, Dogs of War, and Raw Deal, passed away. Bill Rasmussen, the creator of ESPN, also passed away this week as well. Anniversaries, Blade came out 28 years ago this week. Enter the Dragon came out 53 years ago this week. Beastmaster came out 44 years ago this week. That's one movie I watched all the time on HBO when I got HBO for the first time back in 83. Mr. Mom debuted 43 years ago this week. So pretty good. This is pretty cool. I got a story about this. Akira, which is based on Katsuhiro Otomo's manga, came out in the mid-'80s, was one of the first of the anime invasion of the United States. Movie theaters were not playing it. You could only see a certain place, and I wanted to see it because I had read the manga. So I discovered that Akira, an anime, came out in the mid-'80s, was not playing in movie theaters. They were playing at the Baltimore Museum of Art. They had one showing of it, so I went down and got to watch it in the movie. I guess they have a movie theater down there, mini movie theater, and I watched it down there in the mid-'80s. That was awesome. And then I have the DVD, never really rewatched it again, and I got a nice metal box set back there now. Then discovered that I needed something to get shipped overnight via Amazon, but it wasn't enough. You have $25 to do that. So I had to find something to fill that void so I get it overnight. And I was looking through, they have offers. They say, this is what you can do to fill in that area. And the Akira 4K Blu-ray was in that set. So I bought that. I have that upstairs right now. Haven't opened it yet, haven't watched it yet, but I plan on doing that soon. Well, now Akira will be actually getting a real release in movie theaters on September 4th, and it'll be done in IMAX. And I just may have to check that out. Unfortunately, that is it's a Friday, so it might be that weekend. So I might have to check that out. So we'll see, because Labor Day is the 7th. So yeah, 5th and 6th would be the Saturday, Sunday. So the 4th would be Friday. Yep. Owen Cooper, who has won Emmys galore and all kinds of awards for that one show, I forget what it's called right now on Netflix, is being eyed to be cast as Jim in Ridley Scott's new Treasure Island adaptation with Hugh Grant. I think it's a good casting. He won a lot of awards. Stephen Yeun is set to star in a Netflix limited series called Pagans. Tremel Tillman, Blair Underwood, Juan Sykes, Jason George, Kali Reyes, Brittany Oldfield, Nia Ochana Saya, and Jen have joined the cast of Murderbot Season 2. Camila Morone has joined the cast of Miami Vice 1985, which is the new movie with Michael B. Jordan. This is going to be getting filmed here soon. Hayden Christensen reportedly signed a deal to reprise his role as Darth Vader in multiple projects. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that. Seeing the trailer for Ahsoka, see him as a Force ghost, I guess I'm okay with that, but I don't really want. I don't want to see more Darth Vader stuff. I'm tired of it. Pumpkin Spice Pocky is a new thing coming out here. When I get some for my daughter, she wanted to have some. Frozen Grands croissants and chocolate and butter flavor are now coming out. Chicago Bears Bear Claw pretzel weighs in at 2 pounds. Whenever you go to a Chicago Bears football game, you can get a 2-pound pretzel in the shape of a bear claw. Cameron Diaz is set to star in Bad Day for Netflix. Supposed to be out in December. Ed O'Neill is also in this. It's said to be similar to Falling Down, but a little bit funnier. It's about Cameron Diaz, who said she was going to do something for her daughter, and she just happens to be having the worst day of her life. Cameron Diaz is, so we'll see what happens. The Hunting Wives are back in all their lesbian glory November 26th on Netflix, just in time for Thanksgiving. So you eat some turkey, and then you can see them eat some never mind. Kate Beckinsale is set to star in Drifter. Sex offender Warren Ellis, comic book writer, is returning to Image in a new comic, and people are not happy about him returning, saying he's getting the Neil Gaiman treatment. New trailer for Monster, the Lizzie Borden story, debuted this week as well. Juno Temple from Ted Lasso is said to be starring in Intimacy Party, a new series. Dave Bautista has officially replaced Ryan Hurst as Kratos in the God of War series. They're going to have to refilm all of those sequences again. They cannot use it with Ryan Hurst. So that's going to be delayed a little bit here. Jason Kelsey is urging people to mail jars of their pee to AI data centers. You go, Jason. The Ravens won their second preseason game 13-3. Yes, I know it's preseason. I know they're going against lesser people, but the new Jesse Minter defense has only given up 10 points in 2 games. And they had a whole bunch of other numbers. Let's see if I... Let's see if I repost if it was on Threads or no, it's not on Threads. It must have been on Facebook. All right, let's see if I posted on Facebook. Oh boy! I don't think I did because I don't remember seeing it. Give me a second. But the numbers that they dropped about what his defense is doing is absolutely stunning. So it's getting me more and more excited about that's not on here. The Ravens coming up here. So pretty good. Pretty cool. So we'll see about that. Talked about that already. Matthew Dadrio, don't know if he's related to Alexandria Dadrio, is set to join Chicago Fire, which is in his 15th season. Wow. Still feels like it's only like it's 8th. No more sour apple. So from sour apple, we go to Dum Dums Jumbo Filled Caramel Apple Lollipops that actually has the first Dum Dums that have a gooey center, and it's going to be a caramel apple flavor. I have a connection to caramel apple from high school. Um, One of probably my regrets from high school, my freshman year, we were selling caramel apples in the fall and at like events and stuff like that. And I was working with a girl, same age as I am. I'm not going to give her name. And we had a good time together. We were working together. We were having fun, chatting, talking, stuff like that. And we were friends, but not really, really close. Found out she had a major crush on me and she wanted to ask me out. And she just never did. And at the same time, she thought maybe I would ask her out sometime. And because I was oblivious because I was a stupid kid and I was obsessed with this other girl. But I found out later on that she really wanted to ask me out. And one of her fantasies was us having sex at a hotel. She probably doesn't have it anymore. But when she was on Facebook for a long time there, back in the tens, and when it first came out, the tens, and we met up once for a lunch, and it was an interesting one. But she ended up marrying my best friend from high school. But Caramel Apple will have a special place in my heart for that because of what it had been, and I was stupid. Speaking of childhood. After 71 years, Columbia House is going to be shutting down in September. Now, I don't know if you remember Columbia House. You probably don't if you're not my age. Now, in the 90s, I would assume early 90s, early to mid 90s, there was these things called the Columbia House ads, and you could buy 10 CDs for a penny. And you would pick the 10 CDs. You would pay. It was a penny for them all, but then you have to pay the shipping and all that. And it said, but you would have to buy 4 or 5 more at regular price over the next like 3 years or something like that. And I ended up doing that for a lot. And then I ended up making a couple of false names as well to get more free ones as well. And they also had a VCR tape / DVD version as well, and I got a bunch of the movies that I have now that way as well. So that was something that we used to do in the old days, but is now shutting down for good because hey, no one needs it anymore because nobody really gets physical media anymore, which is a shame because digital is shitty. Anniversaries. Teaching Mrs. Tingle debuted 27 years ago this week. That was a completely fucked up movie with Kevin Williamson directed it, wrote and directed. He wanted it to be called Killing Mrs. Tingle and wanted to make it more of a hard R, but the film company's like, nah, you can't do that. You got to call it Teaching Mrs. Tingle and make it PG-13. That it's Katie Holmes in it, and also like one dude from Seventh Heaven, Barry Watson or something like that. I don't remember what his name is. American Werewolf in London debuted 45 years ago this week. Mimic, is Guillermo del Toro's first American movie. I saw some movie theaters. Mimic came out 29 years ago this week. It's basically about what happens if a cockroach evolved into a human form. It's fucking awesome. It's a great thrill. I need to check it out again. I haven't watched it in ages, but it debuted 29 years ago this week, and it was Guillermo del Toro's first American film. He had made a film called Kronos, was his original debut film, but that was in his native Spanish. But this was Mimic, was his first one. Wasn't as successful as his other movies have been, and I don't know if the people who are Guillermo del Toro stands even know that he directed this one. But it's a very interesting film, and as I said, I saw it in movie theaters once, and I gotta rewatch it again because it was I remember it being interesting. A human-sized cockroach attacking and killing people. Right now, 29 years ago is right in the middle of this big horror resurgence with the Scream movies and stuff like that. So it worked out kind of perfectly. I think that's on my Stand By Me. Wonderful coming of age movie. Fantastic. Uh-oh, I hear a kitty. There's my big kitty. Years ago. One of my favorite movies of all time, Rob Reiner directing one of Stephen King's short stories, The Body, and great young cast, including River Phoenix, Will Wheaton, Corey Feldman, excuse me, and Jerry O'Connell. Kiefer Sutherland was in it as well. Richard Dreyfuss played the older version of Will Wheaton's character and also narrated the movie. And it's a great coming-of-age film, great premise, filmed in the Oregon wilderness in the summertime. Combination coming-of-age story, drama, comedy. The premise is there was a boy who was missing in their town, and someone discovered that he was hit by a train and died, but like in the wilderness, so they didn't know where to look. So they knew where the body was, and Jerry O'Connell's character overheard this and knew where the location was, so he asked his friends if they wanted to go see the body. Coming of age thing, as I said. And they decided to, there's Pepper, decided to go on a trek to go find the body. Meanwhile, Kiefer Sutherland plays one of the best evil asshole bad guys ever. But a great, fantastic movie. Another one I have to watch again. I haven't seen it in a while. Hi, Pepper. You're on the show again. You skipped last week's episode, but you're back with a vengeance this week. So congrats. Hitting 40 years. Thank you, Claw, in my back. And then Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, the sequel to the original Sin City, debuted 12 years ago this week. Was not the big hit as the first one was. Haven't watched it yet, but it is based on a comic book. That's it for Yellow Paper. That's what I'm talking about. That's why it's going to be kind of a short episode, because usually I have 3 of those. I only have 2 this time, but I do have some on my notebook, though. My notebook. I don't know what I'm doing here, bud, because I don't want you to step my phone. Hi. You gonna jump back on me again? Nope. You got to show off your butthole. Pepper. Sorry, guys. I gotta love my kitty. All right. Bye, Pep. All right. Month of fall. Already talked about that. A&W restaurants, there's none around me, but I figure I'd let everyone else know who have one around them, are doing a dirty caramel root beer, which sounds delightful, actually. Kevin Smith announced Jay and Silent Bob Chronic Blast Punch, something like that, video game that's going to be pre-ordered now through September. So probably out sometime next year. It'll be available on all video game networks. So that should be interesting to see that. The Odyssey is doing something different than everybody else. Why not? One of the biggest films of the year will be releasing on digital and Blu-ray on the same day. Because of that, they're going to wait a little bit, though, as they should. I wish movies wouldn't be released so quickly after their cinematic thing, but I digress. The Odyssey will be released on digital and on 4K on November 17th, a week before Thanksgiving. Actually, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I should say. A week and a half before Thanksgiving. Lit RPG series has been greenlit for the Peacock based on the book series. Don't know anything about that. The People vs. Gorilla Grodd, the new DC Universe TV show, has officially been greenlit and announced. It's going to focus on the Daily Planet crew, including Jimmy, Perry, Cat, and some of the other minor characters that appeared in the original Superman movie. Not Lois and Clark and all that, even though they might make cameos. Who knows? And it's going to be a true crime series. And the first series is going to deal with Jimmy Olsen trying to figure out what to do about Gorilla Grodd. So it's a great idea for a story, and we'll see how that goes. It should be really interesting. So it has been officially greenlit, and we'll be seeing it soon. Pumping Black, which I talked about a couple weeks ago, which is a new film with Jonathan Bailey and Natalie Portman, has also signed on Lucas Gage and Alex Akpobone. Julia Stiles, here's a second 10 Things I Hate About You. The star of 10 Things I Hate About You was also in a movie called Save the Last Dance about dancing. Will be joining Dancing with the Stars in their new season, so that's pretty cool to see her doing that stuff again. A 7-year-old boy was found alone on Mount Fuji after his father and brother abandoned him to continue hiking, which is absolutely shitty thing to do. But he was found, so that's good at least. Michael Wright passed away in deaths this week. Michael Wright, an actor, was in Oz, 5 Heartbeats, Sugar Hill, Black Lightning, V the series, the principal. He passed away this week. Dick Stevens, an NFL player, also passed away this week. Roger McKenzie, a comic book writer, passed away this week. And Brian Bunyack, a comic book artist, passed away this week. Anniversaries, the first ever football game ever, American football game ever, was played in 1920, 106 years ago this week. So football has been around for 106 years. So pretty cool. All right, our last bit here. Boom. 676 is next week. January 2027, The Pit Season 3 is set to debut. We get a teaser trailer announcing the date. Pleasantville 4K is coming out or will be out soon, but people are angry about it because apparently a line was cut from the movie that was in the original one, and they're kind of upset in arms about that. Our first look at the new younger Poirot. We got our first look at him. He looks new and younger. This will be my last one. Running is an Apple original sports drama. Has been cast Tayona Parrish, Brian Tyree Henry, Spike Feen, Rhea Seehorn, and Andrew Schultz. National Treasure 3 is finally ready to rock and roll with director John Turteltaub, who directed the other two. Skeletons with Brie Larson has finished production, so we've seen that sometime next year. The Karate Kid Funko Pops are coming out here soon. Pillsbury is releasing Raspberry Grand fruit rolls, which are cinnamon rolls, but with fruit filling instead of cinnamon filling. And raspberry is the first flavor. Tokyo got a 5.8 earthquake. Yellow Jackets Season 4, which I think is the final season of that show, is set to debut November 20th. Is there a new Monster High Buffy the Vampire Slayer doll coming? It looks like it. We'll find out more soon. They did a silhouetted ad about it. They're really getting the collabs. They did a Michael Myers one recently. My daughter used to be huge into Monster High, and a couple of years ago, she actually subbed in on an episode during my 13 Days of Halloween series and did a show of her own, which is really cool. Mayday poster. The movie set debut September 4th. It stars Ryan Reynolds and Kenneth Branagh. Miles. You know what? It was a recent thing, so. Miles Bullock has been cast as Dr. Dre in Universal's upcoming Snoop biopic, joining Jonathan Davis, who will portray Snoop Dogg. It's supposed to come out at Christmas. I don't think it's going to be done by then. Nick Chubb, a pretty decent running back, is retiring from football, which I guess running back's a little tough position to do that, so that's interesting to check out. Anniversaries, Dirty Dancing debuted 39 years ago this week. Inglourious Basterds debuted 17 years ago this week. Hawaii became a state 67 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. 67 years ago, Hawaii became a state for the first time. That is insanity. And Alaska's like a year earlier. So, wow, that's insane. So when my dad and my mom were born, Hawaii and Alaska were not states. That's crazy. That's crazy. So we get to the last story of the week, and I'm going to break an hour right about now. So that's good. At least I got an hour in here. It is now officially August 23rd. One more day closer to fall. Dr. Squash, which is a online soap making thing. They're the ones that made the Sydney Sweeney bath water soap, I think, also, is making a soap called Blue Ribbon Blue Ribbon Breeze. And it's a soap that's made with Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. Oh, I forgot the death. Barry Lynn Pearson, NFL player, passed away this week. But yeah, that's crazy. A soap made out of beer. Dr. Squatch is one of these weird, but it's a neat idea, though. It's a niche sort of product, but you can do a lot with it. So yeah, the Blue Ribbon Breeze, which is soap made out of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. That beer tastes like water anyway, so why not? Okie doke. That is it for this week's episode of Dylan Knows. Let's just verify, make sure there's nothing that just popped up over my feed. Oh, this is interesting. Mutiny, the new Jason Statham movie, was accidentally leaked by Amazon. So they are obviously pissed about that. So that's funny. Mutiny accidentally leaked. I'm writing this down so that I don't think that this is a new story. That's funny as hell. Anything else? No, I don't think I got anything else here. It's weird. Why is my page all of a sudden all Muslim stuff? That's weird. Yeah, they're presently filming Batmobile scenes for Batman Part 2. Obviously, it looks like snow's on the ground, so it looks like it will definitely be taking place in winter. So that's pretty cool. Let me do that. Anything else? I think that's all we got here. That, it looks like it's going to be it. I'm just going to make the call right now. All righty. That's it. Thanks for watching. Next week's episode will be the weekend before my son goes back to school. It'll be the last show for August and the last show for meteorological summer, since meteorological fall starts in September. We're this close to getting through the summer of our discontent. All right, y'all. See you next week.